recording. All right, so Rise of Drekis, Chapter 4.
4.
Let's do it. You're going to be a paladin. Paladin
Sweet.
who was a cleric and then heard the call one day. And your primary task is to go explore the Elven lands and free them of their whatever corruption is holding on to them, and investigate why they are the way they are, why they're in trouble. I think I sent you a nice... Oh, did I not send you the full blurb? I did not send you the full blurb. I wrote a big old thing, and I thought I sent it to you, but clearly I just thought about sending it to you. Okay. So let's post it here. So you are our hero. You're a cleric, or you were a cleric in the capital of Mystria for some time. And when you've been called by a deity, which we'll figure out today, to go serve their cause, go to the Sylvan Forest and cleanse it from its great evil, this sort of unknown, mysterious thing that's there. There's this big war that recently happened. After the war, everyone kind of assumed that the elves who were fighting the evil dragon would just chill and go back to whatever that was. But once the war ended, they all fucked off to some other land and abandoned their ancestral homeland that's been there since the dawn of time. And no one knows why they left, but any attempts to sort of get into that land have been met with dangers, trials, people going missing. And there's sort of this, well, we're in a cursed elven forest, maybe people should stay away. You've been in Mystria, which is the kingdom that was destroyed or conquered in the war and is now being rebuilt by its new leader. I'm just going to piecemeal these to you. There's a little note. I'm going to do this note and then this one. And this one. All right.
I'll give you some interesting notes that I am an extremely fast reader, so I'll get through this in no time.
Fantastic.
Wow, that's quite the magic item.
Yes. Yes, this is going to be an unusual campaign.
I remember, pre-thoughts I had was, Neal's worlds, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they're typically lower magic, right? Compared to Dungeons and Dragons as a whole?
Yes.
But this might not be this case.
We're going to start off with some stuff. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so cool little paladin social structure. There's a state in the church, and there's paladins.
Yes. And the paladins sit sort of outside and above this thing. Their authority comes directly from the gods. So they
Mm.
can do as they please with it, but they don't actually have any legal authority to change anything. They don't even have any authority over other religious organizations. If they come in and redecorate a church or a temple, like they're, it's probably sacrilegious in some way. They'd just be akin to anyone showing up and redecorating it. But they do come with a divine mandate, which gives them a certain level of extrajudicial authority on the thing that they've been mandated to do. So,
Okay. How many paladins are there?
um, I think at this moment in time, you're probably the only known paladin. Definitely in this region, like maybe in a different part of Arcadia, there might be a low-level paladin doing something somewhere. Probably on other continents, there are paladins. But for the purposes of this campaign, you are the only known one on this continent, on this island.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and there are some awkwardnesses, which I think this campaign is really going to delve into. The paragraph in here that while the office of paladin sits outside the social order, the person who is the paladin still owes their normal allegiances, taxes, and social responsibilities to their betters. They must still obey the laws of the land, which include following orders from their king or empress, as long as those orders do not seek to make use of the divine office. So a king could not order a paladin to smite his foes, because that's taking advantage of the paladin's divine authority. But the king could still order you to do the 2 manual weeks of labor that all people owe, and you'd still have to pay your taxes. And if you committed a crime, a king could in theory call you up, and you would be legally bound to respect the king's authority. And at the same time, you have a certain level of extrajudicial authority that is high. It's a very awkward thing that happens here. Where,
Got it.
yeah, does it make sense how that might be the two allegiances and how they conflict with one another?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm on to the premise part. So
Mm-hmm.
are we going to begin? We're beginning after I've went to this Empress.
Yes, after you go to Empress Wick, you're brought there by King Imric McGarry. He's the king of your region. She's the empress of the whole region. And then she offers you whatever gear you want, along with a bag of holding, a potion of gaseous form, 7 potions of healing, 30 vials of holy water, a scroll with 7 speak with dead spells, and a rope of climbing. And I can give you detailed stats on all of those.
Okay, cool.
Right, and then she'll give you an order to free the forest from its curse. Paladin, no, you tell her that that's your task, and then she tells you that the empire, the forest belongs to the empire, and she's cool with you going and freeing it from its curse. The war, Scoria was vanquished. The Empress commands you to go forth and cleanse the forest from its curse and return the lands to our rightful control. So your deity, whoever that is going to tell you to free the lands from its curse. The Empress is like, that's a great plan. You go do that. And also, those are our lands. So when you free it, you're bringing it back into our rightful control. Which is technically an order from an Empress to do the thing you're already doing, with just a little bit of nodded and that's our land. Just so you know, when you free it, it belongs to us, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And it's clear that they want this territory because the elven forest are unusual trees. They're extremely excellent for shipbuilding. And they want the lumber from the forest so they can build their ships. And it's not just any lumber, it's the trees at the center of the elven forest where they make their actual towns and cities and places. These are non-standard trees. These are their exact nature is unknown at the start of the campaign, but it is known that they're strong, light, flexible, fire resilient, rot resilient, and thermally insulating, which makes them perfect for shipbuilding.
Okay, great. In terms of King McGarry and the Empress, how are those two's relation?
So so the Empress used to just be the Queen of Drekis. But before she was queen, her older sister was queen or about to become queen. But she wasn't fit for the throne. She loved this local commoner person, or lower nobility status, and so she abandoned and gave up the throne and said, "Little sister, you take it over. You're better suited for this. I'm just going to go be a regular noble woman." King McGarry is the queen/empress's older sister's son. So his mother was going to be the empress or the queen, and then she abdicated. And so during the war that happened, the empress went to her nephews, this guy and his two brothers who are all gone now, and said, like, I need you to help us overthrow this dragon. And so they became the primary fighting force that overtook the kingdom that you're in and killed the evil red dragon. And now Emmerich McGarry has been given the kingship of your kingdom, and his aunt is his empress. So he owes his allegiance to her.
Okay, it sounds like these
related
parties are all on good terms with each other then.
Extremely good terms with each other. But there is just the tiniest hint of like, well, his mom was technically supposed to be queen, so it's never come up. There were some concerns in the last campaign that might play out and he might rebel and try and like take over the entire empire for himself, but he didn't. He played it super cool, and he is happy in his position as King of Mystria.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So the orders from the Empress are return the woods to our control, and the orders from your king are, well, maybe not orders, but if you come across any of these lost relics, magic, spellbooks, scrolls, tomes, any sort of magic, really, the guy who gave you your +5 Holy Avenger Mace and your magic shield and some other things, you'd be happy to help you translate, identify, codify, and research all the things that you find, because he's a wizard. He's a powerful wizard, and you're a cleric. And you don't really have identify as a spell. So it's not so much an order as it is an offer to help that certainly benefits him, but also benefits you.
Great.
Oh, and if you find any elven whiskers of an elven cat, he needs those for spell components, and they're just hard to find now that the elves are gone.
Okay.
They're pretty minor. All right, so we've got our four political organizations, or our four concepts are the Empire, Mystria, your deity, and the lands you're going to be venturing into.
Okay, cool.
I think we can start you off as a level 3 or 4 cleric, and then dual class that into Paladin, which has got some complications around it. In 5th edition, and a lot of other things, you can multi-class, where you do 2 classes at the same time. In 2nd edition, if humans want to do that, since anything that's not human is level capped, and humans are not level capped in any class, humans can get to whatever level they want in one class, and then they can start over at level 1 in the other class. And the only thing that they carry over is their HP, and they can't use any of their first class's abilities until they reach that same level in their new class. So if you're a level 4 cleric, you get all the HP of a level 4 cleric plus the HP of a level 1 paladin, but you can't use any of the cleric spells or saving throws or special abilities. If you do, because technically you still have access to them, technically you could roll with those saves or you could use those spells. If you do, you stop gaining experience until that adventure is over. The idea being that you're never going to learn to be a paladin if you're still relying on all of your old cleric stuff. So if you start as a 3rd level paladin, you have as a 3rd level cleric, you have fewer cleric abilities, but you get access to them earlier once you hit level 3 as a paladin. If you start as a level 4 cleric, you will have better clerical abilities, but it'll take longer to get to them. And I don't really care whether you're level 3 or 4. It doesn't make a difference to me. I think the only difference to you that it makes is that a level 4 cleric gets like 1 additional 2nd level spell, maybe. and slightly better saving throws. Level 4 clerics get better saves. And one additional first level and one additional second level spell. Whereas paladins don't get any spells until like level 9.
Got it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we are starting off with a lot of complicated details, but I think you can handle it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds to me like being lower level is better. So
all right, we're gonna do level 3 cleric.
Sounds good.
Cleric. And then we'll be a level 1 paladin.
Okay.
Excellent.
So again, functionally, it'll be like I'm level 1, except with more HP since I'm using the cleric HP.
Yes, and you'll have a +5 Holy Avenger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aside from that, it's like you're level 1.
Okay. Was I specifically going to be human too?
Yes, paladins must be humans according to the 2nd edition rules.
Cool.
We could probably find a way to bend these if you'd like to.
I'll be human. Seems like a good race.
Yeah, they're a fine race, those humans. There's nothing wrong with them. Wrong Arcadia map. Going to find our map. It's in here somewhere.
So how does one become recognized as being the paladin?
Well, that's actually a really good question. I think initially you're in a situation like anyone could show up one day and say, I'm a paladin, but that comes with a certain amount of like risk, right? Because if you're lying, it's going to really piss people off. And if you're telling the truth, then it comes with a certain amount of like responsibilities and blah, 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 blah. But there's not necessarily a clear way of establishing someone's paladinness. There are spells and tools that you have. Like you've got detect evil automatically. You can lay on hands to heal people. There are a couple of things here and there that are very clearly only a paladin could do this stuff. And so you could try to establish yourself by showing off these abilities and saying, you know, only a paladin could do these things, so clearly I am. But other than that, you kind of just have to... Who would declare themselves a paladin that wasn't? Like, the danger of lying about that is too great.
So right, okay.
Maybe a really good con man would fake being a paladin for a while, but then once they got found out that, you know, persecution, torture, suffering, it, you know. Does that answer your question sufficiently?
It does. Thanks.
Putting together...
On a really big picture scale, do you have any particular desire to see a paladin who the audience will like as a hero, or a paladin the audience will despise?
Ooh. You know, I really enjoy relinquishing control on the subject. I really like giving people the power to do whatever they want with the role, and then seeing what they do with it.
Hmm.
Typically, paladins are supposed to be like great heroes, but if you want to play a paladin who, great hero or otherwise, like is going to rub people the wrong way, that sounds delicious and juicy. Or if you want to play like the greatest paladin who's ever lived and do all the things the right way, we actually haven't had a paladin campaign in a long time. So either way, I'm very happy.
Okay. I mean, I am also very happy either way. That's why I ask, so to say.
Mm. Mm.
I don't know if we can leave it up to the audience to decide.
I think one of the places that we need to start is what sort of deity do you think you might want to be working with for have as your patron?
I am really open to that as well. Let's see. You have a list somewhere, right?
I do. Yeah, let me get you that list. Mhm.
This also almost feels like potentially a you tell me thing because it seems like the
Mhm.
deity is telling me to be on this quest. So it would be whatever God was interested in that.
Yeah, if you scroll down to the bottom of that page, there's
Hmm.
a subsection called imagery where you can see the signs and symbols of all the gods and how they're laid out. It's a easiest way to digest that
Got
stuff.
it.
So really good candidates would be Nadinus, the goddess of nature, Martha, the goddess of life and creation, um, Velmontarius, the god of justice, Astaire, the god of law, order, boop, boop, boo. And Malchus, the god of chaos. Those are the. He's also the god of humans. So
Okay.
anytime like there's a paladin, which has to be a human, like Malchus is always, hey buddy. But he is a chaotic god, and a paladin of the god of chaos would be interesting.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah. So Velmontarius would be, you're on a divine quest for justice, which would tell you something about the threat you're facing. Nadinus, goddess of nature, you're trying to cleanse a forest of its evil. Martha, life and creation, forest is a living territory, want it cleansed of its evil. Astaire, he's the god of elves, or the main creator of elves. So his people's lands were destroyed. He wants you to go fix that shit. Makes sense. Malchus is god of humans. It's a little more tenuous, but he's the sort of deity who part of the chaos isn't just being, crazy. It's not just insanity. It is he does good things for people. He's the god of humans. He loves the humans and he wants to help them out wherever he can. But also sometimes he just likes to fuck shit up, and he thinks that the best outcome for the world is to constantly put it through trials, and so that everyone's always being tested, and then the cream rises to the top sort of concept.
Hmm.
So chaos is often like it's a misnomer, right? He's
Yeah,
god of like trials and tribulations and hard work.
got it.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
really early on, I gave you two broad character concepts. One would fit Malchus pretty well as the number two idea, which
Mm-hmm.
is the paladin that rose from being a commoner and then, like, I guess, became a cleric, joined the clergy, became chosen as
Mm-hmm.
the chosen of Malchus or something. Uh,
Perfect.
the other four fit pretty well with option one, which is you good old devout paladin. Um, your goody two shoes paladin.
Yeah. Um, those ideas are great. I would love to see someone try out an actual goody two shoes paladin, because it's always much harder than people think to play a good and righteous and moral character when you're put into situations with possibly conflicting ideologies or unknowns, and finding like doing the right thing is surprisingly hard. And you have always done a really good job of managing to like find the diplomatic solution, finding the peaceful solution, like taking the time to get down to the correct nuances of what is really like you've done a really good job with that. So I would love to see. I think you're one of the few people who could actually play a paladin correctly, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
On the other hand, seen you be tricksy. I've seen you be deliciously fun, is what I'm going to call it. And I think a more chaotic paladin who comes from nothing could be super fun. I just want to make sure that you are happy and that you're playing a character that you can enjoy and identify with.
We're gonna be at an impasse, Neal, because I want to make sure you're happy, and I want to make sure that
Oh,
the character I choose is like, good for the Adam's good for your campaign. So I'm honestly good with either choice.
Me too.
If you hem and haw too much, I might roll a die.
I think that's a great way to solve this problem. I think a die should just be rolled.
Wow, okay.
I love it.
Praise Malchus. What do we
So
want to give the odds on? 50-50 or 20-80, since there's 5 different gods?
Ooh, I think we should do 3366 or 3367, I suppose.
Okay. So I will simply roll 1d3. Were you thinking a 1 is a Malchus?
Yeah, a 1 is a Malchus cleric, and the others we will then, dig into and figure out.
Okay, here we go. Big roll.
It's a 1.
Holy cow, Malchus has decided.
Okay. So, a paladin of Malchus, the god of humans, and also conveniently the god of chaos. Promise that's not a social commentary on humanity as a whole. That is just a coinkydink, a pure accident. I would never try to make any social commentary about the nature of humanity through my campaigns.
Excellent. It definitely seems like, compared to all these long living races, humans are naturally chaotic.
Yeah.
But their opinion of chaos is just our normal.
Right. Okay, so you can see the map?
Yeah.
All right, Crownhold is the capital of Mystria. It's where you're from. This is where you were a cleric. This is where King Emmerich is in charge of. The lands, I'm going to outline those lands right now, of Mystria are this like middle peninsula looking thingamajobber.
And for my quick Mystria history lesson, King let's see.
McGarry.
King McGarry became the king after Drekis quote unquote invaded Mystria. I mean, not invaded, helped Mystria.
Yeah. So Drekis is this area down here. I think the map needs to be slightly adjusted on the bottom side. This is Drekis down here. And these two places were, neither of them were particularly dominant once upon a time, but what was dominant was this this huge Eastern empire over here. This was Eridon. It was super big and the big boss of the area until some demons invaded and the entire Eridon empire crushed and just fell to pieces, as you've read from the intro. And then Mystria and Eridon both fought. I'm sorry, Mystria and Drekis both fought over the surviving loot in Eridon, and that's where they began to fight each other, was over the remains, and then that war spilled from fighting over like loot that could be found to just fighting each other. And Drekis won that war handedly, and now they own everything, almost.
Okay. Was the dragon before or after the war or during?
The dragon had been living in Mystria and deeply oppressing the Mystrian people. Just sort of like, I'm in charge, you owe me this much gold, every day or every month or whatever, and there's nothing anyone could ever do about it. And the dragon doesn't like run the country politically, it just roosted there and took advantage of all of the people. And so that's why the king of Mystria was like, hey, we got to go get this money from the ruins of Eridon because we're being brutally oppressed. And Mystria had just been like a real oppressed backwater with low economy, no freedom, sort of like there's a kingdom, but then there's like an evil dragon who sits on top and above and beside everything and does whatever it wants. So the dragon had been there and it wasn't part of the kingdom until the war happened and Drekis invaded Mystria, and then the new king who had just risen to power made some sort of deal with the dragon, and then the dragon joined them in the war, and then the dragon fought on their side. But since the king and the dragon were all killed, no one really knows why the dragon all of a sudden joined them instead of just like looting them and not giving a shit.
Okay. I'm assuming I'm a nice young adult human, if
Whatever
that
age you want.
timeline works out.
Yeah.
Would I have lived through all of these events? Were they like pretty
Ooh.
recent?
Ooh, that's a great question. What year did so the war for Arcadia, took place between 1510 and 1515, and I think we're going to be starting probably around 1520. So yes, if you want to be like 20 years old, you would have been young during the war. You would have been in your teens. If you want to be like 30 years old, you would have been in your 20s when the war was going down, and so forth and so on.
Okay. I think younger fits the character well. I'll be a nice little common hero, so to say, which helped out people, ailing people during the war and just during the sounds like Mystria had a bad time to begin with. And then
Yeah,
I'll have joined up with is there a Church of Malchus somewhere in
sort
Mystria?
of like each city has its own like religious hierarchy. So you would have been like part of the church in the capital city of Crownhold, for example.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so you could have either been in a church that was just for Malchus, or you could have been in more of like a generalist church that works with all of the deities, and you are the representative of Malchus in there. Crownhold would have had multiple churches and temples scattered throughout it, with some that are dedicated to a specific deity and some that are more generalized, and you can pick
Hmm.
your poison.
Okay, cool.
How old is young when you say youngish?
Somewhere in the 20 to 30 range.
Want to pick one?
Sure, let's go. Let's go 22.
Ooh, okay, we are a young boy. So we were born in 14. If we're gonna start in 15, no, let's start in 15. Let's start in 1522. So you were born in 1500. 1500. So that means you would have been 10 to 15 years old during the war. Is that working for you time wise?
Yeah, sure.
Correct.
Is 15 old enough to fight in a war?
Yes, in this war, absolutely. You said at some point, a practical paladin who risen from commoner status. So you could have been, tapped on the shoulder to become a cleric at a very early age, or it could have been while the war was going on, or it could have been after the war. We got a lot of flexibility in when you were tapped to be a cleric. So if you were
Yeah.
a cleric during the war, you probably would have been like tending to the city and the people in the city. And if you were a cleric
Okay. Sounds
after
good.
the war, you
Yeah, I'll
probably
be
would have
a
been like a
cleric during the war and
okay.
help out all these injured commoners which came back, or fighters, I should say.
Yeah. So you would have lived through the semi-destruction of the capital, a terrible event. The capital was fired. There were dragon fire. There was high-level wizards and warriors flying in and blowing things up. The actual castle itself was badly destroyed. Monsters, general chaos and mayhem and pain and suffering, and you would have been doing your part through that and survived it, whatever that
Okay.
entails.
Great.
Great. We're gonna have to do stats, and stats are gonna be an interesting thing because paladins, by the book, require almost impossibly good stats. And if we just roll for them, we'll be here rolling all day to get them. And we can do that. We can just sit and roll until we get paladin level stats. Or we can do like a point buy system. Or if we really want to keep it or streamline it, I can just assign you a character sheet with hand-picked stats. How much control do you want over the start of your character? Or randomness, I should say.
As you can clearly see, I was okay with randoming the entire concept, which means whatever you choose is good.
Alrighty. Once this file uploads, we are going to find a way to roll for some stats. I think what we're going to do is we're going to roll. You've got 7 stats, including perception.
Yeah.
So we're going to roll 4d6 14 times. And then we'll pick the best 7 of those. And hopefully that will be good enough stats to be a paladin.
Sweet. Is there a roll 46 14 times option?
If you do open bracket, 4d6, close bracket, that will do an inline roll like this. And so you can just copy and paste that with a space between them and do it 14 times in one line.
Okay, so I would copy and paste the 4d6 part.
Without the periods, it would look like
I'm just
that.
gonna test this twice.
Yep. You don't even need the /r. You can just post it with nothing.
Oh, I see. So 4d6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. Was that supposed to be like 46 drop 1 or?
So you're gonna pick. Well, these stats aren't good enough. You need a 17. Oh yeah. Sorry, 46 D1. Yeah, I see a 20 in
Yeah.
here. Okay, let's try that again.
So it should be 46 D1 14 times.
Yes.
All
Good
right.
catch.
I'm just going to type this once to make sure it works. 46 D1. Yes, that worked. Okay. I was like, wow, 20. That's really good. All right. One. I like there being a 20 and then you saying, oh, that's not good enough. All right. Let's try again. All right. That's 7. That's 14. There's a. Looks
There
like
is a
it's highlighting the
17.
best stats there.
Yeah, it's highlighting anything that rolled a 6 in green, anything that rolled a 1 in red, and anything that did both in blue.
Hmm.
Okay, you've got 117, which is what you need to be a paladin. Specifically, you need 17 charisma,
Oh, okay,
13
cool.
wisdom, 12 strength, 9 con.
All
You have
right.
you
Looks
have
like it achieved that.
mhm.
Not too much better than a normal 7d6, 746 drip one,
Yeah.
but better.
I have assigned you a character sheet that's just called Paladin. And if you
Great.
open it, we can fill these out. The 17 must go in charisma. 15. You got 3 15s, 2 12s, 11, 10. Okay, so 17, 15, 15, 15, 12, 12, 11 would be your the highest of those stats. Although if for any reason you didn't want to take the highest and you want to play with lower stats, it's always welcome.
Got it. Let's see. You were saying there were minimums. Could you remind me what the minimums for the other ones were?
Yeah, 12 strength, 9 con, and 13 wisdom.
Okay. And was there a minimum for a cleric?
9 wisdom is the minimum for a cleric.
All right. I'll go ahead and put my 15 in wisdom. That's willpower, I take it.
Yep.
And then I'll just put the 15 over in strength, the 15 over in con, since those are paladin-y things, and then 12, 12, 11. Great. All right, that was easy.
15, 15, 15, 12, 11. All right. Perfect. Um, so the next step is going to be HP. We are a 3rd level cleric and a 1st level paladin. So you're going to roll 3d8 plus 1d10, and then you get a +1 at each of those levels for your con. So 3d8 plus 1d10 plus 4 for your starting hit points.
All right, I'm simply rolling 3d8 and a 1d10 first.
Okay. Uh, that's 19, and 4 is 23. Lovely.
Oh,
Not bad HP rolls. Um, as a 3rd level. Let me double check I don't think you get your attack bonuses. Ooh. It's just the. Character uses the combat and saving throw tables of the new class and level. Right. So you're going to start with +0 to hit, and you're going to start with basic paladin saving throws,
okay.
which are 14, 16, 15, 17, 17. So 14, 16, 15, 17, 17. However, one of the paladin traits is that paladins receive a +2 bonus on all saving throws for being a paladin. So
Sweet.
12, 14, 13, 15. 15 are your saves. And when you do reach level 3, you will get to pick saves between your paladin and cleric class, whichever one is better, and then you'll apply your +2 on top of it, which is
Okay, so until I hit level 3 paladin, I can't use level 1 cleric spells either, is that right?
right. You can't lose level 1 or level 2 cleric spells.
And was
Well,
that I
you
can't use them or I can use them, I just don't gain any XP for the session if I use them?
you can use them. Let me find the exact text. The restrictions last until the character reaches a higher level in his new class than his maximum level in any of his previous classes. So until you hit level 4 in Paladin.
Mm.
The character gained at that point, both the restrictions are dropped and the character gains the abilities of his previous classes without jeopardizing his experience points for the adventure. And he earns additional blah, 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 blah. So the penalty, I thought that was going to be the penalty previous. If the dual class character uses any of his previous class abilities during an encounter, he earns no experience for that specific encounter, and he earns only half experience from the entire campaign or the entire adventure that you would be on. And since this is just one adventure, you would just get half experience for the campaign.
Okay. We're defining adventure not as a single play session, but as the entire thing.
Right. Yeah, usually adventures are, 4 or 5 sessions doing this thing and then 3 or 4 sessions doing that thing. I guess in theory we could, since you're going to be going and checking out this forest over here, I have the expectation that you will probably go in, do some things in the forest, and then come back out to like regroup in civilization from time to time. So we could say that each foray into the woods is an adventure.
Okay.
And if you come out and rest and, reconvene with regular society, that'd be a separate adventure. That makes sense. I can do that. I jive with that.
Sounds good. Is there a place I can, is there a website I can look at for Paladin? Like what Paladins are all about and stuff?
Yeah.
And what they do and what they get.
I'm going to give you this. Link you a PDF of the player's handbook. There is chapter 3 is classes, warrior, paladin is the subsection within there. It'll detail all of your restrictions and bonuses and generalized theories.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like these things in red bold are basically all the Paladin class features.
Yeah.
Sweet.
There's a section here about a paladin using a holy sword projects a circle of power. Your mace is not a sword, but it qualifies for this.
Okay, cool. Okay, great.
Excellent. I also want to give you the details on your +5 Holy Avenger, which is one of the most powerful standard magic items in the game.
Sweet.
Had one before. This campaign will hopefully be fun.
I'm shivering in power. I'm level 1 with a +5 Holy Avenger.
Uh-huh. So in your hands, it creates a zone of magic resistance of 50% in a 5-foot radius, and it'll spell magic in a 5-foot radius at the level of the Paladin, and it inflicts plus 10 points of damage to chaotic evil opponents. It's already a +5 weapon, so that's not 10 additional points to chaotic evil creatures, it's 5 additional points against chaotic evil creatures.
Cool.
Excellent. And now we come to I think the gear section. You've been gifted some stuff, like this mace, and we're gonna add up your equipment over here. Your clothes weigh about 5 pounds. You've got a backpack that weighs 2.5 pounds. You have a +5 Holy Avenger mace, which weighs 3 pounds? Which weighs 3 pounds. And you up to 55 pounds before encumbrance sets in, and then it's only, a slight penalty to your speed, and then up to 86 pounds before more serious encumbrance begins to set in. And you can, you also have a bag of holding, which has a set weight no matter what is in it. The bag of holding actually inconvenient. The bag of holding will weigh. It always weighs 15 pounds. Actually, this is probably just your backpack. I think this will be not like a hip pouch because it's a full bag. It's a backpack / bag of holding, and it weighs 15 pounds. Anything you put in it essentially vanishes, or not. It doesn't count against your weight, but even if the bag is empty, it weighs 15 pounds. It has a max weight limit of 500 pounds and a max volume of 70 cubic feet, which is a lot. If this volume or weight is exceeded, the bag tears a hole and everything nearby gets ripped into extra-dimensional space. So if you open the bag underwater, or actually since it's a backpack, it doesn't have like a nice tight, like you could wrap, a cord around it to make it waterproof. But if the bag were to just fall into a river or an ocean or a lake or whatever, it would quickly fill with 500 pounds of water and rupture. So don't swim with it. And don't put anything sharp inside of it. Don't let anything sharp stab it from the outside. Sack, about 2 feet by 4 feet in size. That's pretty large. So
this Holy Avenger, was it one-handed or two-handed?
It is a one-handed item. You have also a magic shield.
Oh, yes.
Which weighs 16 pounds. And this magic shield has the property that when you place it against the ground, like you're grasping it and you set it in the ground and give it the mental command to do so, it will widen and heighten to cover a 10 by 10 block. So if you're in like a small hallway, a regular hallway, you could wall off the entire hallway. If you're in a wide and tall hallway, you could wall off the entire hallway with it and just kind of create like a full wall with your shield.
Sweet.
And then you also have some potions. What was it? It was 1 potion of gaseous form, a potion of healing, which does 2d4 plus 2 HP. 7 of those. 30 vial of holy water. And 1 scroll with 7 speak with dead spells. And since they're in your bag, they are essentially weightless. And 1 rope of climbing, which is like a... It's a 60-foot long rope. No thicker than, a finger or a slender wand. Weighs no more than 3 pounds, but it is strong enough to support 3,000 pounds of weight. When you command it, if you hold on to it and command it, it will sort of slither in any direction you want, snake forward, up, down, or any other directions at a rate of 10 feet per minute, and then it will securely attach itself, wrap around, and knot itself wherever desired. It will then return or unfasten in a similar manner at command. You can also command it to knot itself, creating large knots every 1 foot, so that way you can easily climb up it. And that'll make it a 50-foot rope after it's knotted itself.
Okay, did you say it was 100 feet or
60 feet?
60, okay.
And then if you knot it so that you can climb it, it becomes a 50-foot rope.
Got it.
I will give you a primer on all of your gear after, at a more convenient time.
Okay. So I'm reading this description that full plate armor is mostly ceremonial and mostly for parades. Would you say that's accurate?
It is mostly ceremonial and for parades because it is big and bulky and heavy and super expensive, and you don't want it to rust and anything. However, that doesn't mean it can't be used. You can get full plate with a +9 to your AC, and it will weigh 60 pounds, which will put you at 1 full plate. It will put you at moderately encumbered, which means half movement speed.
What is the next rung down's weight, which is plate mail?
That'll be a breastplate with
I should say
chain
field
limbs.
plate armor, apparently. Seems to be the next one.
Let me open up this other armor system. Field plate. Field plate weighs 60 pounds. Yep, so same weight. I'm using slightly different. We're using 2 armor systems that don't always overlap appropriately. So the next one down would be regular plate, which is 50 pounds, which still puts you over. Or we can do a breastplate and chain limbs to sort of make a half plate, which would be 25. No, that's still 50 pounds. Not what we want. We could do a breastplate for 25 pounds and leather limbs, which would give you +6 to your AC and only weigh 31 pounds. Bronze plate kind of sucks. That'd be AC 6, but it would be the same weight. Then it would be slower to put on. Actually, it'd be heavier. We could do banded mail, which is still AC 6 and 35 pounds instead of 31 pounds. If we're just looking at mechanics, then like a breastplate with leather limbs is going to be the highest AC for the lowest weight that you can get.
That would be AC 6.
Yeah, and then you'd get another 1 for your shield, 2 for your shield. You could get a shield proficiency and make it 3 for your shield, so you'd have AC 19.
Yeah. I see. And The alternative, if you're allowing it, is full plate and it would just take 65 pounds
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
shield. That be AC 21 equivalent?
That would be AC 21. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So you, for 3 points of AC, you can.
For 4 points of AC.
Right, it goes from 21 to 19 to
To
18.
17, right? You were saying
Five,
bronze was 16
6.
plus 1 for shield.
Yeah, the breastplate with leather limbs is AC 16, and the shield would give 3, bringing you to
3.
19. Or you could do the full
Oh,
plate,
that
which is
sounds
9 and
like
3, which is 22. Yeah.
22. Okay.
Yeah, so
So
19
you're
or
counting the
22.
plate as 19 in this case.
Yes, I'm counting plate mail as AC 19. Are you looking at the money equipment table 46 in the
I'm
player's
looking at,
handbook?
yes, table 46.
Perfect. Yeah. Full plate is AC 19, or in this, in the table 46, AC 2. Full plate and a shield is AC 20, but then you can take a shield proficiency to increase that by 2.
Oh,
Yeah, your shield AC can go up to
yeah,
+3.
got it. Okay. That sounds nice. I'll get the super expensive plate.
That will put you at a slower movement rate.
Hmm.
Love it. Um, so full plate is 60 old pounds. Excellent. Oh, and you're probably also going to need a holy symbol of your deity, which will weigh 1 pound. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, since you have a nice big fat funding from the kingdom before the campaign starts, you can uh, feel free to add pretty much whatever gear you might want. Your bag of holding is large and vast. It can fit a great quantity of things.
Yeah. I will look into the mundane type items and have a
Mm-hmm.
few of them.
Yeah. On your character sheet, there's these different gear tabs on you in
Yeah,
your pack, animal, other. Um, since the bag of holding only weighs 15 pounds, I'm putting 15 pounds in its weight category, but I'm not going to add weight to other things. Otherwise, it'll adjust how much you actually weigh
got
on
it.
your in-pack area. So to manage the weight of other things, I'm going to put it in the value, which is normally reserved for like GP value. So if you add like, a bedroll, we'll add its weight of like 5 pounds into the value
Got
column, just
it.
so that weight
Okay.
can be tracked.
Am I reading this right that shield is 16 pounds?
Yes, shields are large,
Wow.
shields are heavy. They weigh about 16 pounds for a proper full shield in this era.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Moderate encumbrance. Yeah, that seems fine.
Lovely. Let's talk some other basic character stuff. Height, weight, eye color. You're medium sized. You said your age 22.
Mm-hmm.
Assume you're playing a male character.
Yep.
Cleric, Paladin for your class. How tall and how much do you want to weigh?
It's a good question. I'm looking up Malchus. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I'll go with like a 6 foot fit guy. So let's see. That looks like 160 pounds.
Okay. Uh, we will need to do your weapon and your non-weapon proficiencies. Let's see. Doesn't actually talk anywhere in the book about when you dual class or multi-class, you gain additional proficiencies. Hmm. Okay. So you, as a cleric, because you start off your adventuring campaign as a cleric, and you get 2 weapon proficiencies and 4 non-weapon proficiencies. And then when you hit 3rd level as a cleric, you gain another non-weapon proficiency.
Mhm.
And you get additional 2 for your language. So you would have had 5, 6, 7 non-weapon proficiencies and 2 weapon proficiencies when you start off as a cleric. Then
Okay.
you dual class into Paladin, and I think will give you an additional 1 weapon at that point in time, because paladins, warriors, which a paladin is a sub character of, do get more. So we'll give you 3 weapon proficiencies and 4, 5, 7 non-weapon proficiencies to start off with.
Sounds good. Are any of those non-weapon proficiencies used yet in language? Or do I have 7 additional, so to say?
7 additional. Yeah, we're not using them
Okay.
on languages.
Is this the part where I look at your proficiency worksheet? Okay.
Yes, it is, and I am linking it to you right now.
Great.
So I've ordered everything by what clerics would get. I should actually order this the other way first. So anything
Okay.
that has an X under the cleric slot, you can get for its listed cost, because you're starting these when you're a cleric.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to get something that doesn't have an X in it for cleric, so anything below line 63, starting with acting, that would cost 1 additional slot. But clerics have one of the widest reaching proficiency groups, so you should be okay.
Okay.
Literacy is one of those things that you definitely might want to take, because you don't have to
Yes,
spend
that'll be
for.
one of them.
Excellent.
right, let's see. 7. Looks like you get religion for free. Sweet. Wow, so many. All right, I'll take folklore for 1.
Excellent.
Heraldry looks like it fits paladins pretty well. Take that for 1. Let's see, there's one of these that I saw, but it'll come back to me. Oh, I'll take local history for 1. Take storytelling for 1. Hmm. Undead lore for 2. And I think that's 1 more point then. One,
Mm-hmm.
2, 3, 4, 6.
No, reading and writing costs 1.
Okay, was that 7 then?
I
1,
believe that's
2.
7.
All right, very good.
Excellent. So reading and writing is intelligence. Religion is wisdom, willpower. Folklore is intelligence -1. Heraldry is charisma. Local history.
That one's charisma. I'm just
Perfect. Oh,
I
thank
put
you.
the stats on the bottom 3. I'll let you adjust the base.
Undead lore has a -1, a base adjust, and storytelling has no modifiers. Excellent. Easy peasy. And now we get 2 weapon proficiencies as a cleric, and then a 3rd as a paladin. And that weapon proficiency is what you would use to increase your shield AC. So
Okay.
you definitely need a
Well,
mace,
yep.
and you probably want a shield.
Yep.
And other than that, you get to pick one other thing that you know how to use. Crossbows are free. Regular bows take 2 slots, so those are barred too.
What's
There,
a common one for a paladin who's using a mason shield here?
maybe a sword or a spear or a lance or
Is there anything to do with armor, or are we good there already?
there's a proficiency type that allows you to make an offhand punch with your shield. But then you are dual wielding. So let's see. I think you get penalties to your attacks, but then you still get your AC bonus. Normally, if
Would that be
you're dual wielding a sword and a shield, and you use your shield to fight, you're losing the AC bonus of the shield, and this proficiency allows you to dual wield your shield while still gaining the shield bonuses. But dual wielding gives you a penalty of 2 with your main hand and 4 with your offhand.
I see.
So yeah, it's not great. Not great. And two-handed local fighting styles. Dagger or knife is always a nice proficiency to have.
Yeah, it seems
Maybe an
useful to have a
axe. Maybe you want to do some
sharp
wood
one.
cutting in the forest. I don't know.
Okay, axe seems good.
Yeah. Do you want to have an axe?
Yeah.
Okay. And is this an axe that you carry in your bag, like, wood cutting axe in your bag, or is this like a battle axe that you carry at your side, or is it a battle axe that you carry in your bag? What sort of axe do you want, and where do you want to store it?
Think all of it safely wrapped up in the bag. Probably not something I use often.
And is this a battle axe or a woodsman's axe or a two-handed battle axe? What type of you could also have multiple, or even like a small hatchet?
I think in this case it would be it's not meant for battle. It's meant to like chop things.
A
Um,
woodsman's axe. Love
yeah,
it.
that would include perhaps animals.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think, yeah.
Yep. You could hack apart. You can use a woodsman's axe in combat. It's just a little bit slower than a proper battle axe.
Great.
Yeah, a battle axe has speed 4, a wood axe has speed 8, and it takes both your hands to use. And it does 1 more damage.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got your proficiencies. We've got your gear, which you can add more to. We've got your... Oh, let's add your AC. You have a full plate. Full plate. It has 9 armor. And you have a magic shield wall, which has 3 shield bonus.
Wow.
Okay. So if someone hits you, attacks you from the front, your AC is 22. If they attack you from your side, you don't get your shield bonus. If they attack you from your back, you don't get your shield bonus. And if they're just trying to touch you, you don't get your dex from back either, but you don't have any dex bonuses. And if they're just trying to like make contact with you to cast a spell, then your shield and your armor don't really matter, because all they have to do is touch your armor, right? If they're just like trying to tackle you, they can tackle you with your shield, with your armor, and it doesn't make a difference.
Okay, cool.
Medium. Does medium encumbrance really impose a -1 to hit? Is that an error on the character sheets, or is that there to remind me that that level of encumbrance does that? The encumbrance. If your encumbrance reduces your character to half their normal movement rate, they suffer a -1 penalty to their attack rolls. Yes. So with this much gear, with this heavy pack and this plate armor and this shield and all these things, you do fight at a penalty of 1 to hit. That will reduce your attack roll from +5 to +4.
Okay. Let's see. Got it.
You're at 100 pounds now. You'd have to drop 14 pounds. So if you just take your backpack off, right? If you unhook your bag, you would be fighting at light encumbrance. If you keep your bag on, you're fighting at medium encumbrance.
Okay. Would you say it's trivial to, it's like free to kind of drop my bag when I'm in a combat? To take it off, so to say?
Not with your shield, because the shield sort of wraps into your arm and everything, and it actually takes a round to equip your shield properly in combat. It kind of has to be like attached.
Yeah.
So if you are carrying your shield but not wielding your shield, and then you can drop your backpack, take a round to put your shield on. But if your shield is already on and you're carrying your stuff, then you wouldn't be able to take off your backpack in the middle of anything.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Excellent. I will add spells in the first and second level that you have access to. It's going to be a lot because you get access to all the cleric spells, or actually all the Malchus cleric spells, but you can't use them, so it's fine, right?
Yes.
It's fine.
It's I can use them, but only in emergencies.
Exactly. And you'll have to pick which spells you have memorized, and they'll probably since you're not going to be casting and then relearning spells, you'll probably pick what you memorized at the beginning of the campaign and then keep them until such time as you start using them, which will be fun. It'll be fun.
Great.
Your high wisdom means you do have a bonus on saving throws against mind affecting spells, and that you can learn additional spells or memorize additional spells every level. Funsies. All right. I think that's all of the major character details. Do you have any other character related questions?
No, sounds good.
Great. So let's talk about a little bit more of the setup stuff going on here. If you zoom out just a smidge on the map. So you're from Crownhold. It's the capital. The capital of the empire is way down here in Wicthron Rorenta.
Okay. Is that where I met the Empress?
That's where you met the Empress. The Sylvan Forest is this forested area over here. That's where the elves lived. These canals that cut through everything are at sea level, but the ground on either side of them is not. If you just imagine a continent that got split apart, these cliffs can be hundreds of feet tall in some places. And so the cities that are alongside these cliffs have either, really long staircases that go down to a dock. Some of these elven towns actually have some sort of portal system that's built in that at the dock level, there is a portal and you can walk through and just exit on top of the city. But when the elves abandoned their area, all these portals closed. And so while the king of Mystria offered you like a fort or a base of operations in Vale with access to boats, I think before the campaign starts, you'll find that these portals are all closed and you can use boats to get around if you want, but then you'd have to climb hundreds of feet. And if you fall, you just fall into the ocean and die because you're wearing armor and you drown. Guaranteed, practically. And so our campaign will actually take place with you in probably using the town of Roxas as your entry point. Forests are scary. In the modern world, we've got GPS, we've got all sorts of functioning compasses and excellent maps, and we don't get lost in forests like we used to anymore. In the olden days, if you are in a forest and you are unfamiliar with it, it's very easy to get lost. And so at least at the start of our campaign, I'm going to recommend that we use this river as our guide, because you can't get lost if you're following a river. And if you walk away from the river, the river's always downhill, or you can turn back and hopefully find the river, and then you can just go upstream out of the river, and that'll lead you back to civilization.
Great.
I'm going to recommend that the elven town of Lothram be one of the areas that you are trying to get to investigate what's going on. You'll have heard that the Empire of Drekis has been trying to get into this area to get access to all of this fantastic lumber. But right around, this line, right as you're getting a couple of miles into the forest, people just go missing, or people come back saying they've, found weird sights, or they've encountered monsters of different kinds. What did I tell you that they saw? Said cursed. The forests have been cursed and diseased by a haunting evil. The evil is not only still alive, but continues to grow, right? So there is definitely some sort of evil, and you have undead lore on hand. You certainly expect there to be something undead related in here. If you'll remember the campaign Light of Loomis that we played, undead are burned by sunlight. All undead. Skeletons, zombies, vampires, ghosts, the whole lot. Direct sunlight is very damaging to them. However, deep, dark forests, well, sunlight doesn't really always reach the bottom floor there. So in a forest, you might find areas where if you're like in an opening in a glade, you could be pretty safe from undead during the daytime. But if you like walk into dark, shadowy woods, there's not direct sunlight on the ground. There's only filtered sunlight. And so undead might be able to exist.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been throwing a lot of information at you. Do you have any areas that you need clarification, want direction on, questions in general?
That makes a lot of sense. So, did you want to begin basically with me already following this river to Lothrin?
Yeah, we'll have you starting the campaign, probably leaving Roxas and beginning your first foray into the wilderness at that point in time. And we should talk about how much food you're bringing and everything when the first session starts.
Okay.
I'm waiting on an artist to make the overlays. They're already in process, and we need a character name for you so I can adjust the intro animation file to have your character name.
Will do. Let's see, let's see, Mystria doesn't go out to Roxas, right?
It
The
does
border
not.
you drew. Yeah.
Yeah, Roxas is one of the few free cities. Roxas, Drunsbar, and Shelton are generally considered the 3 free cities. Gold Hill used to be. It got taken over by Eridon during the war because there's a lot of gold there. Roxas is primarily a dwarven population. There are some humans, there are some halflings, there are some gnomes, but it's primarily dwarven. It's run by a dwarven council. It has a large tower in it that has been used. It's supposedly an enchanted tower that keeps lizards at bay, including dragons. There's some sort of signal that admits that only lizard-like creatures can pick up on, and it's really fucking irritating. It doesn't actually like force them out, but it's just like a really annoying whistle sound that they just don't bother approaching. But all the dragons almost all of the dragons in all of Arcadia are gone. The only dragon that remains is the gold dragon, who is the pet dragon of your king, King Imric Megarian Crownhold. He made a deal with the dragon long ago, and it serves him as a guide and an advisor and a horrible, nasty tool if he needs it. It's a gold dragon who lost an eye during the war, and her scales have been badly damaged by magic and other breath weapons. And so they've gone from this like glistening gold to sort of like a rashy gold, like it's got some red coming through from just the damage done to them. And so she's an older girl with some serious battle wounds. And she probably won't come up in our story at all, but she could not come visit you in Roxas just in case it comes up.
Great.
Feywild is the elven capital, supposedly. Lothrim, Ildreth, Sildon, and Walshin are the 4 towns. And these their positions on the map are very approximate. The elves are very secretive, bordering on xenophobic, but they're not like actually trying to murder other people. They just really keep to themselves. And so it's known that there are ports in these places, and they're spoken of in such a way that you'd expect there to be a town on the other side, but there's not a lot of travel there. Feywild, similarly, is... it's at the end of this river, but is it just like the port is here and the actual capital is deeper in, or is the capital right on the coast? Again, not entirely certain where these exact locations are.
Okay. Are the trees expected to be near Feywild?
Yes. Well, let me open my document on... So you would know that the elven world consists of 3 realms, what they refer to as the Shaped Wood, the Wildwood, and the Outlands. So rather than building things from lumber or stone, elves shape their dwellings from living trees, planting saplings of specific types in strategic locations, and then shaping their growth for decades into structures. They generally live in small groups known as pods, similar to a human village, but smaller in number, like fewer people in each one. They have trade hubs. No, we don't want to. Where is she? So the like small elven communities and their towns and their great cities are the realms of shaped wood, areas where they have planted things and then shaped the wood to be whatever society structurals that they want. The wildwood is sort of the forest in between shaped wood areas. So it's just like the regular trees that are growing all over the place. And then anything outside of the forest is considered the outlands. So the trees that you're looking for, the ones that are excellent for shipbuilding, are these semi-magical shaped trees that, make up elven homes and elven cities and things that they've worked with. Not just like the random tree in the forest. It's these semi-magical trees that outsiders, non-elves, don't really understand, which is why I'm being kind of vague on why I'm saying semi-magical and shaped. And hopefully this campaign will touch on what's really going on in these areas and uncover some of the mysteries of elven society. But your character would have this vague idea that wherever the elves live are the sorts of trees we're looking for, and you expect that you're going to recognize them when you come across them. But it's also possible that you might, not, or that you might need to bring in an expert or whatever.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm all set.
Okay. I will leave the map up for us. If you have any questions anytime between now and the start of our campaign, which is essentially being locked behind when I get our assets done, DM me. Feel free to ask any questions you want. And
Sounds
I think
good.
Other than that, I think we're good to go. Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. I'm sure I'll have something in the middle. Go ahead.
Yeah. What day of the week and time of day do you want to play? Since it's just you and me, I can do Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Fridays. I prefer not Monday, but I can make that happen if need be. And basically any time of day is fine.
Okay. Do you have a preference between everything you've said? Like if it were your perfect schedule, what would you want?
If it were my perfect schedule, I'd say Thursday or Friday. Somewhere you're in Central Time, somewhere around 1 or 2, somewhere between 1 and 3 Central Time would be my preferred starting time on a Thursday or a Friday. Slight preference for Friday, but don't really care.
Cool. Let's do Friday, 2 p.m. Central.
Friday, 2 p.m. Central. Okay. It's 1 p.m. my time. We'll probably run for like 3 or 4 hours ish. Yeah. Okay. I want to put a tentative date on the calendar, but it's really going to depend on when the artists get back to me, because you know artists, right?
Yes.
So let's roughly say the 10th of May.
Okay.
$2 p.m. Central.
All right, perfect. Looking forward to it.
Alrighty. I will catch you then.
Sweet.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.